Hello again. So many pet owners would agree that walking their dog is one of life's greatest pleasures, but it may not be as simple as grabbing the lead anymore, because if you live in an area where it's been restricted or banned altogether.
And the Kennel Club is claiming an increasing number of councils are using new ASBO-style control orders to wage war on dogs and their owners. And it's found that dogs have been completely banned from over 2,205 public places, such as parks, playing fields and beaches. They've also been stopped from running or playing off the lead in 1,100 other areas.
On average, councils have 48 public spaces protection orders in places limiting dog walking, but one council has as many as 116. Now, Katie Rickett is in Daventry in Northamptonshire. So, Katie, the local council there thinks that these orders are more than justified.
Well, yes, they're one of the first councils to introduce them, but they're quite specific here. Now, Jane has lent me her beautiful dog, French Bulldog George, so I can try and demonstrate to you how the rules work here. He's not wanting to move very quickly, but if I was out walking George, basically he would have to be on the lead once he gets past this point. He'd be banned completely from the children's play areas, and this is my responsibility. I could be fined £100 if I don't have one of these, a poo bag. He's very keen to go. So let's speak to dog walkers about how this affects them. This is John Robinson, aka Johnny Four Paws, and you can probably see why. John, the poo bags, for example, why do you have such a problem with that?
I just think it's a difficult one to enforce. I mean, as you can see, got quite a number of dogs. I've got an idea of how much mess they're going to make. If they go one or two extra and I've used all my bags and I've still put them all in the bin, what does that mean? I'm eligible for a fine now. You know, I just think it's a difficult one to enforce. Yes, I think everyone should clean up, but, you know.
And the lead situation, which I'm demonstrating rather well here, putting dogs on a lead, you're not keen on that either, are you?
No, depending on where. I think from this sort of area to the car park, that's just common sense, I think, you know. But there are many outdoor, wide, open spaces where there does seem to be a little bit too much restriction.
Well, let's speak to the man potentially behind that restriction, Paul Knight from the council. Paul, is this not just basically acting like dog walkers don't have their own common sense?
Were that the case, that would be great, but we still have quite a small but persistent minority of people who don't pick up after their dogs. And the bringing in the means to pick up rule was really just an attempt to try to spread this culture of picking up after your dog. I think it's reasonable these days to expect to pick up after your dog.
And what about banning dogs? Would you consider doing that here?
No, we at Daventry invite all people to come along with their dogs at any time. We've got no ideas or thoughts about banning dogs from anywhere, other than very small children's playgrounds, and there is a health reason for that related to the Toxocara parasite.
Well, thank you very much for that, and thank you to all our wonderful volunteers here. And the bare fact of this is, if these orders keep coming in new parks, when you go out on your walkies, you might see a few less of these frisky fellas.
He wouldn't say, oh, and I own 34 police dogs and 24 horses.
So you think that if people attack the dog, they know they're doing something more cruel, more violent?